with this. With the disclosure of the pecuniary interest or any nature thereof, either now or whenever it occurs. We'll move on to committee of the whole. We have no delegation, so we'll move on to the committee of the whole reports, administration, employee relations.
Thank you, Chair Stimson. So for everyone's review, our monthly update is attached. Things happen quickly. There are a couple items that we neglected to put in. So just to give you an update, I want to give you an update on the phase 2 of Larome Lake. As council knows, there was an extension request brought forward not that long ago. Pleased to note that the law firm representing the developer, that the plan document and the notice of subdivision agreement has been registered at Land Titles. So it's kind of a big step. And we're pretty close to the point where there'll be 15 new lots available for purchase on phase 2 of Larome. And obviously for us, that means increasing our tax base. So it took a while to get there. We're happy to note that it's there, and hopefully we'll see some renewed action out there this spring and summer. Second to that, just an addition under Public Works, Kalen Soils next and began hauling just a couple days ago. Happy to report within 5 days over $45,000 in tipping fees. And more importantly, I had to go to the landfill yesterday, and what I was really, really pleased to see was the maintenance of that first 4 kilometers of pipeline. With the calcium added, there was no dust. The road was in excellent shape. There was a lot of traffic, and there was no problem. The road's nice and wide and great, and if they're going to maintain the road like that throughout the project, then that's a real added benefit for us as well. And then there was also a request regarding the sewage hauling from Ballard, and we're about $82,000 to date on that, and that's obviously changing as the weeks go by. So good news. We've got a bunch of other highlights for you. Open to any questions, comments, further clarifications needed.
Oh, Councilor Johnson?
Your microphone.
Number one, the Mud Lake culvert, it's been put off and put off and put off, and by no means is it the township fault, it's the M&R. What is the holdup with them?
We're waiting on a work permit. We're waiting on a work permit.
So the argument has been come to an agreement as to what kind it's going to be, a culvert or a dam?
We have applied to replace a culvert.
Thank you for that. There was one more here. Oh, I'll just forget about it. I can't find it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Shine? Oh, you go. My God, someone.
Got my light on since everybody's getting hit for that. Yes, thank you, Chair Stimson. In regards to the grants, it says applications and reporting requirements are in progress. So that means the grants that you were speaking about initially a couple of months ago have been submitted, or no?
Under which department, sorry, Councilor?
Finance, grants. Is this anything to do with the money that we were given, the $250,000? Or is that something altogether different? Would that be Brandy?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's just, we weren't given $250,000, first of all, but grant reporting and is an ongoing thing. Like there's deadlines for all of our grants.
Okay, so
different times.
it has nothing to do with that extra money that we received where there was talk about for the permanent porta potties or the possibility of the...
No, that we haven't received.
Nothing at all.
That
hasn't been submitted at all yet.
I can provide a further update that on our agenda item further in the agenda.
Okay, I did see something, okay. And my other question was the O'Brien Street project. Is it coming in on budget?
We are staying close to within budget, yeah. Obviously, we're over the original tendered price with the extra work that we've added, but we've tried to keep some money in some other budget lines to account for that.
Okay.
Mayor Ferguson?
Yes, thank you, Chair Stimson. Through the chair, I'd just like the question on the surplus sale. It says ongoing. What does ongoing mean? Jason?
The surplus list we're talking about?
I don't know. It says surplus sale ongoing, so I'd just like clarification on that.
On the tax registration then you're talking about, right? Because two different items.
Yeah, there's two different items I'd like to ask about each one, but the surplus sale, I was thinking that it is the surplus equipment that we were
Got you. Yeah.
told was going to happen in October.
Yep. So as the report says, the surplus list is being finalized with photos and items being collected or have been collected on nearly all of the surplus assets. And then with a few more to be documented, and then their staff is hoping to finalize it next month.
Okay, so are we going to be trying to sell that stuff this year?
Yeah, so staff have been working on it, and with the intent to have it put out there next month, yeah, November.
Okay, I'm just, when things are covered in 2 feet of snow, I was wondering how we're going to do that, but, okay, as long as it's gonna be next month, because it was gonna be October, and now it's gonna be November. And the second one is the tax registration. You know, I have a hard time, you know, with the mail service interruption and all that. I was just wondering, it says a small number of properties are expected to proceed shortly with the bulk of registration planned for 2026. I was wondering how many, what a small amount is and how much the rest is, the properties.
I will defer to Treasurer Colson on that.
So we have some properties that are were slated for registration a while ago that we're just automatically gonna do. There's probably only maybe 3 of them. The rest of them have to go through the process, but we can't do the process if Real Tax isn't registering properties. We contract them to do it, but with the mail strikes, they keep stopping registrations. So I'm hoping that the mail will be sorted out soon. They are using process servers, but I don't even know if we have one, and also that's a lot of additional costs.
So just a follow-up question, Chair Stimson. So once we register the properties, is it another year before we can do anything with them?
Yes, depending on, so a lot of times we will end up doing tax extension agreements with the homeowners. So in that case, it stops the clock. But if there is no tax extension agreement or no payment, then yes, it would be a year.
So these houses that have been sitting empty for 5 years is going to be another year before they can be sold?
Yes. If
Can I, can I ask why, like, if it's 2 years in arrears, why have some of them been 4 or 5 years? I would think that once a property hits 2 years plus a day, that we should be sending out the information, not waiting years and years. Because I know there's some of these houses that there's no intention of anybody going. They've been sitting it vacant for years, but we haven't done anything with them. Is there a reason we just haven't done that? Like, once they're over 2 years, it should be a click of the button and the letter should go out.
So the normal process is every year we do tax registrations. That all went by the wayside during COVID because all
I'm sorry, I can't say COVID. Like, that was 2020. Now it's 5 years and we haven't done it. I could take it for 2021 maybe, but COVID's done. it irks me to no end to blame things on COVID that's 4 years ago.
COVID was the beginning of the issues. COVID was not the only issue. There have been several issues.
I would just like if we could stop blaming COVID.
I'm not blaming COVID, I'm telling you the facts. When COVID happened, all the clocks stopped and registrations that were already registered stopped. It screwed up the whole schedule, and then getting behind after the fact added to that, and now trying to catch up has been taking all of our time.
Because there's people clamoring for houses. I get people talk to me easily once a week about wanting to buy property in town, and they're sitting with these derelict buildings that are an eyesore, and we could be generating revenue by doing this. So I can't stress enough the priority on this. And I will speak to this in my budget discussion on number 6. That's all I have.
Any other questions? Okay, I just got one. It's a comment more. I'd asked Jason to put those figures for Villard sewage and Steep Rock in there, and I wasn't expecting to get one this early, but thank you very much. Appreciate it. No other questions? All right, we'll move on to asset management plan. Is that you? Okay. Go ahead, Brandy.
If you recall, in May, Public Sector Digest came here and presented the asset management plan. At that time were the major updates. And then the regulation also had more updates required for 2025. So this satisfies that. So basically the plan itself is basically the same thing that was presented in May, except the proposed level of service scenarios were added. So this will make us compliant with the OREG 58817. And then I believe in order, so every few years they've had updates required, different updates. And now I believe the further requirements are just a review, an annual review, and then an update every 5 years.
Any questions? I guess
I would just like to say, Chair Stipp says it's a 125-page document, so it's there was a lot to digest in there. So I appreciate us getting that done. And you know, if anybody has any questions, I agree with you, but I don't know if we want to move on.
Any other questions? No? One. Councillor Shine?
I would agree with Mayor Ferguson that it was a lot to read and a lot to digest, but that doesn't mean that we should be allowed to still come back at a later point requesting any questions that we have in regards to this on the agenda. Correct? Okay.
We'll put this and we'll discuss it in another meeting. Okey-doke. Okay, we'll move down to,
Sorry, just to jump in, just for clarification. At any point in time, you have a specific question about that, absolutely, please send it over, we can do it. It doesn't have to necessarily be a further agenda item. We brought it forward for information. But yeah, as you do go through that, if you have any, as always, if you have any general questions regarding the asset management plan, please send them through to staff and we'll do our best to answer them.
and please include all the other councillors too, so that we can get the replies.
Yeah, sorry, that was going to be my point, is
Yeah.
if someone asks you a question, if you could share that answer with, because we might be thinking the same thing, not ever answer the question, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Chair Stimson. Would it be possible, Clerk Treasurer Bates, to have a hard copy of it? Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Oh, we'll move on to community services. No? Oh, okay, we'll do a project update too. That, Okay, I'm not sure who does that. Oh, Brandy?
Yep, so this is the update as of October 23rd. Council has any questions?
I have a question, Chair Stimpson.
Go ahead, Mayor Ferguson.
I don't know if it's on this, but it is the demolition, $60,000 for demolition. Is that going to happen this year?
Thanks for the question. I'm not sure. Yes, the intention is to send out an RFP for demolition, but with the which houses are going to get knocked down, which ones we're keeping is out of my hands. I'm just waiting for a list of things that we can actually knock down. There are two that definitely will be coming down. Both were raised by fire, and that will be this year for sure.
Oh, so the two fire ones are going to get knocked down?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I was just gonna ask you a question, if you could explain when they're gonna get knocked down, because I had somebody who lives close had asked me, and I told him there's a due process, but I thought it was still in progress, so that's good to be happy.
The process with one of the homes got delayed because of somebody trying to buy it from the existing owner as is, and I intervened and said that would not occur. It has to be knocked down.
Okay. Thank you, Fire Chief Warburton. Any other questions? Okay, now we'll move on to Community Services. Fee Schedule E. Is that you, Brandy, again?
So if you recall, last month, we updated the community service fees. And at that time, so we updated them as of September 8th, or September, anyway. And then we also had another schedule to be effective November 1st. We were waiting for the seasonal changes. And this is just basically some housekeeping to correct some of the issues when we delved into it a little further to curling, I think only curling. We had originally had it per hour and decided to go back to the original system of per draw per sheet. So it's just an update and clarification.
Any questions on the fees? Alrighty then, we'll move on to Quetico Adventuring and Sports. No? Holy. Oh, sorry. Didn't see your hand up, Councillor Shine.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair Stimpson. Brandy, how much of a percentage increase was it across the board?
It moved around between 10 and 15%, depending on the service, and then we rounded to try and get it to round numbers.
Okay, and this was comparable to other communities our size as well?
No, we're still way down, but you can't increase too significantly without the
okay,
public
Thank you.
screaming.
It'll fit into the next discussion, I think. Thank you.
Treasurer Coulson, I was just looking at that one adult swim, or family day pass, $4.87. Is that it? Third line down in the swimming pool?
Yes, so that's $5 with tax.
Okay. Great. Good. Thank you.
The numbers don't include HST, is that correct?
Correct.
That's why the oddball number.
Bring it up to 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So when we add the HST, it brings it to a round number.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? Other questions? No? Okay, now, we'll move on to Quetico Adventuring and Sports Agreement.
That's me.
Shoot.
So, as everyone is aware, the local company, Quetico Adventuring and Sports, have been maintaining our curling ice installation and maintenance for quite a few years now. The agreement was up and ready for renewal. Spoke with the owner, Jason Johnson, and have brought forward the proposal. He explained the increase, which was 6% year one and 5% in both subsequent years, was due to increase for his costs as well. Still very reasonable, provides a great service. We're very pleased with that. And then they also work with the curling club and the junior rockers and the school to provide additional use of the facility. So happy to take any questions. Otherwise, we'll be bringing forward the agreement for passing.
Questions on that? So we'll move on to the Community Service Operations Coordinator, RFP.
Okay, so as you're aware, there is a vacancy in that particular department. We kicked around some different ideas. Obviously, I needed another set of hands to keep moving things forward. Ended up doing an RFP. We had one person submit it, and very pleased with who that was and her proposal. Happy to take any questions regarding this, but to Councillor Shine's question regarding grants and that regarding the ad hoc committee and different projects, that will be under the mandate of this contractor as well. Helping us with grants for summer students, working with the ad hoc committee in regards to funding opportunities for the newly acquired funds that we're trying to get some projects done with. And I think with her extensive background working for the province will be an asset for us. And then it's tried to make this as flexible as possible so that we can get maximum benefit from this. So she has done some work for me in the past week, but we're looking for a 6-month contract to council. So happy to take any questions.
We going to have a resolution at the next meeting? Or?
So if council's good, then I have a contract in the council meeting proceeding. Yeah.
Any questions? Comments? No? Yep, Mayor.
Comment, yes. So I talked to the candidate and to Councillor Shine's question. That was my number one priority, because they asked me what my priorities were, and that was the number one priority, was to work on those grants utilizing that Waasigan money. So that was the direction that I gave them. But lots of great ideas, a really good skill set, and it's something that we've kind of been kicking around and looking for. So I think they were the best candidate that applied, and I'm very satisfied with the person.
Mayor Shine, holy cow. Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Stimson. So if we have any sources that we can bring forward into potentially helping these grants, should we be going to her, or who should we be going to?
I'm not sure what you mean, sorry.
I've just recently heard of some potential grants that could help towards the money that we received.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, certainly.
Just go to her.
If you're aware of if you're aware of a new funding stream, yeah, absolutely pass that along, yeah.
And I also received have a potential lead on getting some money from somebody that attended a workshop on the East Coast about funding that might be able to perhaps extend the contract. Would you like that information, if I can get it to you?
Extending which contract, sorry?
Hers.
Oh, I see. You could forward that to me, yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say that any ideas we have should go through Jason, so
yeah,
that person's not getting bombarded from 10 different directions.
Yeah, we'll pass it along, yeah.
So I think it should be funneled through our one employee.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on now to number 6, other business. Mayoral Directive 2025-01 to do with the 2026 budget.
Okay, I will speak to this. So on the agenda is my directive that I gave to administration and senior leadership. So it's prepare a draft budget, 2026 operating and capital budget that can conforms with the best practices utilized by the town in previous years and maintains the services that the town residents and businesses rely on. And it is a maximum property tax increase of 2%, and the budget will be presented to council prior to February 1st. So this was the utilization of my strong mayor's powers, and I also have a letter that I would like to read to council before we have any questions, just to, maybe it'll address the questions, and it'll be for my reasoning for this. So at this time, I would like to address council, town administration, and the taxpayers of Atikokan and explain my reasonings for exercising my strong mayor's powers regarding the 2026 town budget. I have not chosen to exercise these powers since receiving them last May, as I understand and appreciate that council works best in a democratic and consensus-based approach. But by issuing this directive now, it will provide a more efficient budget process that protects the taxpayers from what, and Jason had an issue with this, what I could see as unnecessary property tax increase, and helps to pass the 2026 budget in a more timely manner. By setting a deadline of February 1st, 2026 for administration to provide council with a draft budget of no more than 2% property tax increase, the budget process will start much earlier than previous years. Council can pass a budget lower than 2% with a majority vote. This is in line with the new strategic plan that recommends an earlier budget process. Department heads will be tasked to be as efficient as possible while still providing both operational and capital expenditures. Department heads will not cut services to achieve the 2% budget. Council, as always, will be tasked with approving the expenditures or redirecting to other projects they deem to be more in line with their priorities and vision. Further discussion can also take place if department heads recommend additional spending outside the initial draft budget, though anything above the 2% property tax increase would have to come from reserves or grants. Borrowing may be considered under certain circumstances, but would be a last resort. To summarize, the residents, business owners, and potential investors in our community will now know what their property tax increase will be now instead of waiting until midsummer. This directive also signals that Atikokan is addressing the property taxes by passing one of the lowest, if not the lowest, property tax increase in Northwestern Ontario. And I'm happy to take any questions anybody has right now.
I have one. You said that you want the department heads not to cut any services, and yet they're going to be working with less money. How does that work?
No, they're not working with less money. It's a 2% increase. Or the tax is going to be 2%. So they're not going to be working with less money.
They're not going to get as much money from the taxes.
If you factor in a 2% property tax increase, they will be working with more money.
See, I love a 2%. I love a 2%, but I don't want to see services getting cut or anything. And I was all for that 2.5 or whatever it was last time. I just wished you would have done that then, but. Anybody else? Oh, Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Chair Stimson. My question is, when they're looking at their budgets, are they going to be taking a look into account the asset management plans as well as the strategic plan, which are supposed to be living documents, and we're supposed to be moving forward with these items? And is a 2% going to be enough to do it? I totally agree. I'd love to have the taxes keep it. Definitely agree with an earlier budget, but are they going to be looking at this asset management and the strategic plan? Because we have deadlines, if you read the strategic plan, that are in there clearly defined.
That's always a part of the budget process. It's supposed to be.
Is it going to be more difficult with 2%? I guess we're just going to have to see what happens, but I think we're going to be having a lot of questions about what is considered a priority. I think that's where we fall into that, Mayor Ferguson. Am I correct? Yeah,
well, we can do whatever we want, and Jason and I always have this discussion, is we can do whatever we want. But as we reported in the progress, we won't be doing it on the back of the taxpayers. So if we have to go into reserves, if we're generating revenue and we have extra revenue we can put in there, we could borrow, we could do whatever, but it won't be more than a 2% increase in property taxes.
I remember we had a counselor on, Counselor Makarenko, and she'd been on for quite a few years, and she said they had, I think she said, a 0% tax increase, and next year they had to go to a 6% tax increase because they were so far behind. So now, do you think this 2% is just going to be a one-hit wonder, and next year it's going to be a 4% or a 5% to make up for it? It just seems like we operate on X number of dollars that comes in from the taxes, and if we're going to cut that down, like I said, I'm all in favor of it, but I just like to make sure that everything's going to be covered. If we cut that money down, that's going to be less tax money coming in, and we needed 3.5, I think it was last time, and now we're only going to do 2, and we have projects we want to do. Like, I just don't see how we're going to have the money to do it, without some kind of cuts. I just don't, and I'm just wondering, any of the staffers have anything they want to weigh in on this, or can they, or?
I can provide comment back to Councillor Shine's question. As Treasurer Coulson said, we're always keeping in the back of our mind the asset management plan and that. But I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, this was brought to us pretty late in the year, and it's a significant change from usual practice. Staff have been directed to get to work on the budget as quickly as possible, taking all the things into consideration. But also, as Chair Stimson had mentioned, there's a lot of things to keep in mind. So department heads have been directed to get to work on the budget. We won't truly know where that lands until Brandy gets all of the information. And at that point, I think that's where the challenge will begin, is to say, there's these, let's say, a major project that has to happen. Where's that money going to come from? As Mayor Ferguson had said, we're going to have to look at different options of where we can finance them. And ideally, you're right, we don't want to cut service, but until really everybody has done their due diligence, we won't know. So we are under a very tight timeline, but we're getting to work on that, and we're going to do the best we can to present it before the deadline.
Don't think you really want to deplete all the reserves either.
And we won't know until Brandy has a look at where we land.
Thank you. Oh, Councillor Shine.
Oh, thank you, Chair Stimson. So, Brandy, I've seen in here that the 2023 audit has been completed. When are you expecting the 2024 audit to be completed? Because that would give not only council, but yous as well as departments, what's going on financially and more current, up to date. When will that be completed?
So 2023 isn't completed. The field work is completed.
That's what I mean.
Currently trying to work on the asset retirement obligations, which is all new, and a lot of information needed, but that had to stop because of the budget process. So the hope is that 23 will be presented next month, and I'm assuming 24, they won't book 24 until 23 is complete. I'm assuming that'll be in the new year.
Are you expecting a significant difference between 2023 and 2024 that's going to give you the criteria that you need to work towards this budget of 2%? Because generally they tell us, don't spend money. You've seen that as well, Mayor Ferguson, where they kind of give us some guidelines about...
We don't know our surplus deficit until the audit is complete, the cash surplus deficit until the audit is complete, but we don't necessarily need that information to do the budget unless we need more from reserves. I guess that isn't there, but that shouldn't be a factor.
Okay, thank you.
If I can kind of respond to that, this is my 11th year on council, and we have never generated the revenue that we generated this year and next year and the year coming. As was reported today, it was $83,000 for taking the sewage from Ballard. It was $45,000 in the tipping fees for the last 3 weeks. So in our position that we're in, as I said, we've never been in this position in 11 years. So we are generating revenue, and my feeling is that because we are generating revenue, that we don't have to go to the taxpayers and request so much money, because we are, through the hard work of administration, mostly Tyler in the working with the contractors, we are in a lot better financial position. And I know we've got infrastructure issues that we need to work on, but those won't be paid for by the taxpayers' increase. Okay, if we're going to spend $5 million replacing Mackenzie Bridge, for instance, we're not going to get $5 million. We're not going to hit up the taxpayers for an additional $5 million. Okay, we have to be creative. We have to work hard. We have to find grants. We have to find different streams of money than going to the taxpayers, because that's not where we're going to get that money. Okay, so the money, the 1% increase might not sound like much to some people, but I can tell you, talking to a lot of residents and a lot of business owners in town, by addressing the situation on keeping a lid on tax increases goes a long way to helping people out. And, you know, some people are looking around the room, maybe some people, an extra $100 a year doesn't mean much to them, but it does mean a lot to some property owners, some residents and business owners, the extra 1.5%, 2%, whatever it was. So we want to share the hard work that we are doing with the residents and the taxpayers of Atikokan, and keeping the taxes at 2% or less. So that's where my justification came from on this. We are generating a lot of revenue. Okay, so if we don't give the people a little break on their taxes this year, when the heck are we ever going to be able to do that? And that was my justification for doing this. I also want to get a budget out sooner, so we can get moving on things faster. So when we're doing, for instance, we don't get hijacked by the paving companies at the end of the year looking for a deal. We can go to them in March, knowing what the budget's going to be, and we can get a better deal. So by moving the budget forward sooner, it's going to give stability to the taxpayers, and it's going to give administration more timeline to get to work on the work that they propose in 2026.
I just reiterate again, I know that 2% is going to be great for people with the taxes, but if we hit them with well, I won't be here, but if they hit them with a 4 or a 5% next year because we're behind, then you watch. Then they'll really be hurting. I just think we gotta, I don't know. A low tax increase is good, but not if it means a big one next year. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair Stimson. Brandy, what would the town realize at a 2% property tax increase? If it's too difficult?
I want to say 160,000, but I would have to look that up.
Did you hear her? I don't think you heard her, right? Did you hear her?
Yeah, my hearing aids are going goofy.
She said $160,000.
265?
160.
160.
Above and beyond, right, from
Yeah.
last year.
So with that theory, a 3% increase would be 240,000.
I'm just going off the top of my head.
Yeah, so just math, right? If 2% is 160,000, 3% must be 240,000. Okay, so a 1% tax increase, the reduction, I would say reduction, less for the ratepayers, works out to be $80,000. Okay, we took in $80,000 from Ballard in the last 3 months. So that covers your extra 1% that you're talking about. Instead of going 3%, going at 2%.
Jason? CAO Young, sorry.
Sure. So, unfortunately, taxation is not quite that simple. When we do look at the special levy, I agree. There's a formula that we can say for every extra percent, it's $78,000 or $82,000. Part of the budget process is once we have the draft budget is to take it to our tax equity consultants, because then you work into assessment, right? So, even though we haven't had a province-wide reassessment for a long time, there are still movements in assessments within those properties, and as part of the calculation, the consultants work that into it. So I think to get your budget, we have all our budgets, we bring them in there and we say, okay, that's, you know, going to cost X amount of dollars based on the notional rates, and then it's the special levy rate, whereas Brandy is referencing about, like you said, what we get above that. So first step is to get the budgets in, get it to the tax equity consultants, and then look at how much that special levy is going to be. To your comment regarding unrealized revenue, I agree with you. I think that we are absolutely, you know, there's opportunities here that haven't existed before for us, and as part of our budget, administration will provide options regarding building up of reserves and investments. We certainly don't want to see all of this revenue spent in 1 year, which could, you know, limit us in future years. So as we had said, you know, having that money work for us and hopefully providing long-term benefit is also a goal, and we'll present that in our proposed budget as well.
I got a question for you, CAO Young. CAO Young. Got tongue-tied. Do we have an ironclad agreement with Villard and Steep Rock that they're going to do this for X number of years, or is it like at one time Steep Rock was all going to take their stuff to Thunder Bay? Now, could they get upset over something and say that's it, we're not taking any more here, we're going to Thunder Bay? And could Ballard do something like, you know, where we think we're paying too much, so we're gonna get a tanker to come in and haul it to Thunder Bay, and then we don't have that money coming in. Like, I just want to know, this kind of money that we're getting now is going to be guaranteed for next year, and not a chance of it's gone. And here we are with a small tax increase, and this added money is not there anymore.
Sure. So to answer your question, Council did pass an agreement to enter into an agreement with Synexon. So that price is locked in and the quantity is locked in. Obviously, with any agreement, there are clauses that you know one could rely on to get out. But we're doing everything that we can to make sure that not only will Synexon be content with phase one, that it's built into the contract as they wanted us to have discussions regarding phase two. So we will certainly maximize these opportunities. Ballard, there was an agreement. Quantities are it's more about prices, right? We would charge them based on quantities, but there was no agreement for a certain amount of price. So the amounts we've given you are earned to date. We don't know what the future holds in regards to that. Synexon, again, with the agreement passed by council, we're confident in those numbers, and we're hoping that there's actually more to come, but we don't know.
Yeah, I remember passing that agreement, but I just wondered if there's an easy way they could slip out of it and just start hauling it all to Thunder Bay again.
I mean, the conversations we've had and the work that they've put into it, I don't see that happening, but.
Councillor Martin?
Councillor Shine had her hand.
Okay, Councillor Shine?
Okay. I've asked a few questions. That's okay. I can wait.
Okay, well, thank you, Acting Chair Brian Stimside. Sorry, okay. Anyway, you know what I mean. just want to make a comment that I was one of the counselors that kind of pushed for the 3.5%. I think that was before we were going to realize some revenue from the Kayland rehab. And after, after Tyler presented those numbers, and at this point, I'll just give a shout out to Tyler. Mayor Ferguson and I were at that meeting, and Tyler pushed or suggested that we could take the material here instead of Thunder Bay, and he faced a lot of pushback on that from the MNR. And anyway, so thanks, Tyler. Shout out to you on that. We'll get back to the 3.5% after we started seeing the revenue coming in for the, particularly the Kayland. I'm glad to see that Mayor Ferguson used his strong powers and brought the tax rate down. So I think that's worth mentioning. This is phase 1 of a huge brown zone out there, so I can only expect that this is just the tip of the iceberg that's coming our way. And so I'm happy with that, and that's all I think I had to say. Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, sorry. You must be invisible, I don't know. Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Chair Stimson. So when can we expect to hear a preliminary report on this before February 1st, especially as we only have 2 meetings in November, we only generally have 1 in December, which leaves 2 in January, and then we're at February 1st.
Sure. So I believe Clerk Bates has provided everyone with the flow sheet that does lay out this process. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that we will work with the mayor. He will present the proposed budget by February 1st. It is at that point that council has an opportunity to bring forward amendments.
So then we're going to be, if you went by the flow chart, we should be able to pass the budget totally by the end of February, early part of March?
If council is in agreement with what the mayor proposes, then the budget can be passed shortly thereafter. There's a 30-day window, I believe, that council has the opportunity to bring forth amendments.
So there's not going to be any effort to make it any information available to us prior to February 1st?
So we are creating the budget based on the mayor's directive, and then it will be proposed at that time.
And all this extra funding that we've got, which is fantastic, is that going to be spread out equally between all departments, or is that strictly staying within Public Works?
No, so generally, again, we don't use revenue specific to the department. It's kind of an all-encompassing process. So if the department heads put in their budgets, Brandy calculates the proposed revenue, and then we get to the bottom line. So we don't earmark specific revenue to specific departments.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I guess now we'll move into in-camera, and when we come out of in-camera, we will start the regular council meeting. Resolve that the council committee proceed in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to personnel matters that an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. It's moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Martin. All in favor? Okay, we'll see you in a little bit.